So starting here at the help guide, I'm not sure if everybody is aware that you can get to this on any browser. You just type in support.workamajig.com and it's going to bring you into our home page. So here in the middle of this search box, I can start to type in new project. It's going to give me a list of options, and the first one is the new project. So I'm actually going to be covering everything that you see here. There's also one thing I wanted to bring to your attention. So along with your project workflow, you should also be closing your projects. And I know a lot of clients don't even realize that we have closing procedures when you're closing a project. So here, over here to the right-hand side, you just click in closing projects, and this is actually going to go through a whole list of procedures for you to actually close your projects. So it's not just putting your project into a completed status or a closed status. It's actually going into the accounting tab and marking it closed, which the system will then give it an actual close date. So I felt that it was kind of important. I know a lot of clients don't realize that we have this, here in the help guide, so I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So going here to your main menu, and I want to do some setup first of the projects when you go to begin. So here under Admin Manager, you're going to go into System Setup, and then we're going to go into Global Lists, and we're going to go into Project Types, or project types. Apologize. So here we have a list of project types that you guys can set up in your system. You can click into any of these fields here. You can change the name. Again, if you guys wanted to get a little fancy with them, you can even add project type colors. So these are all different options that you have. Do you have to do them? No. And if you need to add new ones, you just come down here, insert row, type it in, and that's all you need to do. Now, we do recommend when you're creating your project types and you're using your templates to add those types to the templates. And you're going to see that in a few minutes when I cover that. So next, let's go into our project status codes. Again, this is something that a lot of clients forget about. They add these status codes, but they haven't gone back to really look at them to see if the setup is still correct. I've noticed lately that even when people put something in a completed status or a closed status, they are actually having them as an active project in the system, and truly they're not active. They are an inactive project. The other thing that I've also noticed is people that are allowing time and expenses to your projects when they're closed. Most likely, if it's closed, you don't want anybody putting time or expenses to them. So kind of going through your project status codes is a really good thing. So again, these are just options and suggestions, totally up to you how you want to use those. Okay. All right, next, let's go into our templates. We're going to be in the same area. There are a number of ways to get to these templates. You can also get to your templates from your projects listing screen as well underneath the More button. But what I wanted to bring to your attention here is we do have a bunch of defaults that are already in your system when you join in with Workamajig. So you can copy those, you can modify those, totally up to you how you want to use them. You can even delete them if you'd like. But for us, templates are pretty much the central component of Workamajig. You know, they're going to save you guys time. They're going to increase your efficiency. You can create as many as you want. I have some clients that create, 2 or 3 per type. So here again, naming your template, but here's that project type. If you guys have a habit of adding your project types to your templates, then when you guys go to do your reporting, every project's already going to be set up. Nobody has to go back and fix anything. This is just a way to streamline the system for you. Okay, so I do have a blank template in here that I'm just going to open up, and you guys can do this anytime by clicking that plus button at the top. So when you open up a new template, the first thing that you're going to see is it's going to be a blank screen. So you have a couple of options on how to do this. You can click the add task here. I can type in my first task. And what I wanted you to notice is the task ID populated, my track budgets checkmarked for me, and it put in 1 day. So the system is designed to do this automatically for you. These are the defaults that are set up in your system. And we typically recommend that you keep the track budgets on your standalone tasks as well as your subtasks. Now, the track budgets is allowing somebody to put time and expenses to a task. So if you set up a schedule and none of your track budgets are turned on, then that means when you assign somebody to the task, they are not going to see it on their Today Creative page. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. I always recommend having it out on your schedule. That way you always know if it's turned on or off. Okay, the next tab next to that is the days column. The system is always designed to set up for 1 day. So we schedule in days and we assign in hours. So you have a general idea of how many days it should take to get a step done, or, in this case, the tasks. Okay, so you're going to hear me call them, they're one and the same if you hear me say it both ways. All right. The next thing is you have your assigned column. You're going to go into the actual assignment. This is where you're going to enter in the services or the roles that are taking part in that task or that step. So in this case, maybe we have an account manager and we add that role to this step and we put in that allocated hours. And then maybe there's, some general admin person. Okay. And then, of course, again, you have to think of the people that are going to be in this meeting and the roles that they're going to be performing. So in this case, maybe we have some, creative direction here. So if you guys take the time to enter in your services, your allocated hours, put in all of your steps, I can promise you it will help you when you guys go to open up your projects, okay? And always make sure you guys are saving often. We typically don't recommend putting people on your templates because, again, people come and go. If you've got, 50, 60 templates out there, you guys are going to be adjusting your templates quite often, okay? So we typically say leave all of your people off of your templates and just add your services and your allocated hours. Okay, so next I wanted to show you another feature that we have. We have the ability to do what's called dragging and dropping. You guys have templates in the system. So over here on the right hand side, we have this little middle icon that says show templates, and I can pick any template in my system and say, well, maybe there's a particular phase that I like, and I want to drag this over and bring it over into my schedule. Oops, that didn't work. My goodness. Well, let me, there's another way that you can also do it. Let's say that you wanted to bring all of the tasks, you had part of your tasks in the schedule, and you can also do this copy all tasks. So really, you guys can take bits and pieces of a particular template. You can copy all of your template if you, or the whole template over if you want. And of course, when you guys do this, you definitely want to make sure you are saving in the process. I would hate for you guys to be dragging and dropping from different templates and not saving and then lose it all. Now, you'll notice that some of these are already pre-populated with services and allocated hours. So again, taking the time to do that is going to have less work for you. You guys can always delete phases if you don't want them. Maybe we don't want this copy phase and we want to just go ahead and delete that. Now, I do want to mention that anytime you delete anything in Workamajig, it is permanently gone. You cannot bring it back. So we will always show you a question saying, are you sure you want to delete? So make sure you're absolutely positive that you want to do that. Okay. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention is this predecessor. The predecessor is the ability to create that waterfall effect, meaning if I had people on the kickoff meeting and I had people assigned to create a brief, this is saying that creative brief cannot begin until the kickoff meeting has been completed at 100%. Okay, so again, if you guys are following that waterfall effect, you want to make sure that your predecessors are set up correctly. I typically recommend, if you're dragging and dropping, to come in here, highlight all the tasks, unlink them, drag and drop, then you're going to highlight them again and link them. Once you do that, then the system is going to automatically set up those predecessors for you. All right. The other thing I wanted to mention while we were here, there may be times where you have two tasks that are going to happen simultaneously. So if that's the case, then you're going to click into that predecessor, the one below it, and you can actually change it and put it to the one above it, so that these two tasks, when this template is copied, those two will have the same exact start date. Okay, so again, you guys, if you set this all up at the beginning, I can't say it enough, it will make your life a lot easier when you go to create your projects. All right, and of course, make sure you save. The other thing that I wanted to mention too is, let's say that on this last task, a lot of people don't realize that we have these other options here underneath the task details. So if you come over here and let me click onto this last task. So on the other tab, we have the ability for you guys to link your project status codes. So what this means is the last person in this task that's assigned and marks it complete, the system is automatically going to change that status code to what's inactive. So again, if you guys have your list here, maybe it's completed or maybe it's closed. So you guys have the ability to set these up if you want to. And again, a lot of people don't really look into these, so that's why I'm showing it to you. The other thing that you can do is, if you go into the plan itself, you guys have task descriptions. You guys can use these, and so that your users that are assigned to those tasks can see those descriptions if you want. You have status comments if you want. So again, kind of start poking around a little bit when you guys are in these pages. That way you could kind of see what's there. There's a lot of ways to streamline the system. So these are all things that you guys can set up on the template itself, and these will all copy over to the project. Okay. And of course, again, if you need that blank screen, you messed up completely, you just highlight, delete them all, and you can start all over again. Okay. So that's pretty much it for the templates. I'm not going to go any further than that. Again, you guys can come in through the admin manager setup or from the project listing screen. So it looks like there's a couple of questions. I am going to take a quick peek. How did you get to this? Templates, how did you get there? Slow down. Okay, I'm sorry. So how to get to the templates? Let me come in here. So you're at the main menu, admin manager, system setup, global lists, and you go into project templates. Okay. And you can also, like I said before, you can get there. You can also get there from the projects listing screen. Text headers, bold and sub. Okay. And also somebody wanted me to show how you do the summary and subtask. So I can go ahead and do that really quick. So let me just, let me see if we can go in here and do it. And hopefully this will be a short schedule. Okay. All right. So to create the summary and subtasks, I typically recommend just coming in here. So I'm going to call this my summary. I usually create the two tasks together. The summary is going to be the bolded, right? And then the one underneath it is going to be my subtask. Now, the easiest thing to do is to push it under, but you're going to notice right now that this summary task is actually underneath project management. So I need to push that out first. And of course, the system is going to say, well, you're tracking budgets. That's fine. Fix it. And let me see if we can, oops. Let's see if we get this, move the task out again. Oh, we're having fun. All right, hold on just a sec. Let me just highlight these and delete. And yes, save. Okay, and let's try this again. See if we can get this to work. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so start out, make sure it's a standalone task. Then you're going to insert the task below, and then I can call this a subtask. Now, when you create a summary and a subtask, you do not track budgets at the summary level. And I'm going to get an error message. You're going to see it in just a minute, because the track budgets right now is on task 5. But when I move this task in, the system is letting me know that there's an issue with that. But I want you to see here, the track budgets has been turned off on the summary task. And now the subtask is indented and it has the track budgets at the subtask level. We always recommend tracking at the lowest level. And the reason for that is you have the ability to always roll up. So for example, if this was my production task and I saw 100 hours on it, well, later on, I can't go back and ask the system to say, well, how many hours were for wireframes versus programming? You won't be able to get the detail if you're not tracking that from day one. Okay, so again, kind of keep that in mind as you guys are adding new tasks in. Always watch that. I can't tell you how many times I see schedules. Half of them, you're tracking at one level, and the other you're tracking at the summary level. Okay, so always kind of keep that in mind when you guys are working with your schedules. So hopefully that answered your question. So let me go back out and let's go back into our main menu under Project Manager. So there's a few ways that you guys can actually start your project. It's not just one way to get there. You can go to your little plus sign here. You can scroll down and click this project. You can go to the main menu, Project Manager, project, this plus sign, or you can actually go into the actual projects listing screen, maybe, and you can click this plus sign. All right, so 3 ways to get to the same spot. Here, I just wanted to also bring to your attention, we do have the option here to add other options while you're filling out your add a project. Okay, a lot of people don't realize that there's a system settings here. Now, for those of you who don't see a system settings, that means that your security group does not have the right to see those settings. So this might be a project manager that might have that right, or one of the owners, or somebody who has the right to change your settings in the back end. But once you click into that, you have other options that you can fill out. Maybe you guys want to start creating your own project numbering, or maybe you guys want to add the account managers right from day one. Maybe it's going to be different than what's already on the client record, because as the system works now, the account manager is coming from the client record. All right. So again, these are other options you guys can turn on if you'd like. And then, of course, that's going to all be listed on the screen. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to click a client, pick a client here. And again, I think the easiest is to start typing. If you have a primary contact, the primary contact is going to automatically populate for you. If you need to change that, then of course you can come in here, select from your different options, and pick somebody else that you want to be a primary contact. The other thing that you're going to notice is you're going to see red dots. The red dots are what are required fields. So I cannot move forward until that field has been filled out. Okay, so in this case, we're just going to say AFCG, and down below that, this is asking you, well, what template do you want to copy from? So here, since you guys have all of those templates in your system, you can click this drop-down menu. You can look at it from this way, or maybe if you already know the name. I mean, if you guys have 50 templates in there, I recommend just start typing, because then it's definitely going to shorten your list, and then you can pick the one that you really want. Okay, so again, once you do that, it's going to populate that template, which means it's going to bring in that schedule that I already filled out, and it's going to add it to my project. Now down below, you're going to notice some other features that I have turned on. If you don't have GL companies turned on, then you're not going to see this. Okay, so again, I might have some extra features turned on that you're not seeing on yours. So as I scroll down, you're going to see my description. So I actually had a description on my template. So it's automatically copying over as well. You guys can change this. You can add a huge description. This will continue to go, and it'll continue to get larger and larger. So you could even put, I've seen clients put paragraphs in this as well. So again, totally up to you. If not, just go ahead. I've seen, you can copy and paste into that field if you wanted to. So it's really up to you how long or how short you want those descriptions. And of course, everything is going to show up on the project once I copy it, or once I save it, right? The next thing I want you to notice is the start date. So the system thinks that every time you start a project, it's going to always use today's date. You guys can always click into the calendar and pick a different date that it needs to start. So again, it's always changeable if you need to. We do recommend putting in a due date. That way you can see where your schedule lies if you're going to be able to meet that due date based on the schedule that you have already set up. So here I'm just going to say, well, this is going to finish. We'll just put in July 12th for my planned due date. So the next thing that you're going to notice is a campaign. You guys have the ability to add a new project to an existing campaign that's in the system. So to do that, you just click the drop down arrow. You can, pick the company. And then of course, this project would then be linked to the campaign if I wanted to. Again, these are all options that you have available. Sometimes people don't realize what's here because again, they're not really paying attention. The other thing that you guys can do is you guys can create teams. So let's say that you have a certain group of people that work for a specific client. If you guys set up teams on the back end, then those you can add them right here. And then all those people in that team will actually be added to the team of the project. So again, that's one less step that you have to do if you're selecting teams, and you can actually link the team to the actual client itself, meaning I don't even have to pick this. The minute I select the client's already going to populate that team for me. Okay. The other thing that I wanted you to notice is the project type that already came over for me. I didn't have to fill it out. So again, think about how to streamline your system so that you can create a project. Usually, if you've got everything streamlined, it should only take you maybe 3 to 5 minutes to get the project started from scratch, from start to finish. Okay. So again, streamlining it I think is important. So here you do have the ability to create custom fields. So if there's information that you need to track at the project level, you guys can create those custom fields. And of course, then you have the ability to fill them out as you're creating that project. You can also make them required. So again, if that's important information that you guys want to track for reporting, you guys can add those custom fields, make them required, and then at that point you can go ahead and save. Once I save that project, the system is automatically going to generate the project number for me, and it's going to use the 2-digit year, the client ID, and the next global number. Now, there are other options that you can choose. You just have to go underneath your transaction preferences and change those there. Okay. Also, after that, I will talk about some of the dashboard, but first I just wanted to go into the schedule for a minute here. So we entered in our due date. And what I wanted you to notice over here is the status. The statuses are green and red. So I typically recommend, or we recommend here at Workamajig, that when you start your new project, there should be nothing in red. If there's something in red, you need to fix it. So in this case, based on my schedule that I already came in from my template, the system is letting me know that this project isn't going to finish until July 15th. So in this case, you have two options. You either go back to the client and say, listen, we're not going to be able to get it done until the 15th, or you're going to come in here and shave the days off of each of those tasks. So here, maybe I have 3 days for production. Maybe I'm going to do 2. And then maybe for layout, instead of 3 days, I'm going to give those guys 2. But as I start to change the days, that you're going to notice that the statuses are also changing. So here, maybe I need to shave off, another day or 2. So I can come in here, and as I start to click these off, the system is going to readjust itself, and it will let me know that I can actually now make this July 12th due date. All right. So again, kind of making sure that your schedules are all fixed, ahead of time, and just please make sure everything is in green. Now I am going to show you one last thing. Let me go ahead and save this really quick. So on my template, on that delivery, I set it up so that that project status is already going to be in here. So what I did is, since I did it on the template level, the system now knows that the minute that somebody completes that task, it's going to move my project from production into the completed status. So again, taking that time to streamline it is definitely going to help you. And of course, if you had entered in those descriptions, task descriptions, those would also populate here as well. Okay. And you guys also have the ability to do the dragging and dropping. So let's say you needed to add a new phase to this project. You can just close this down, go to the next option in the middle, and those are your templates all over again. So you can literally drag and drop different phases from other templates, or even from existing projects. Maybe there's a project in the system that you want to use part of the schedule, and you can actually drag it and drop it into this. But again, please, if you're doing that, make sure you check your predecessors. I would hate for you to go through all of that process and have your predecessors all messed up, okay? Because that will definitely run havoc with your schedule. All right. Okay. Also, I wanted to mention with your project schedules, the system is designed to skip weekends. And if you guys take it an extra step and add in all of the company holidays into the public calendar in Workamajig, then the system will be designed, it's designed to skip the holidays as well. So for example, let's say that we had a holiday on Monday and the task was scheduled to end on Monday as well. Well, the system is designed to push it out one more day past the holiday. And again, it's going to do the same thing for weekends. All right. Okay, so now enough with that. Let's go ahead and get out of that. The next thing that I think is important to look at is your project settings. Sometimes people don't realize that they haven't really set up their projects. They forget this part. So you can come in here, you can change the name of the project. You know, maybe it's a different account manager. Maybe you don't want this person to be the account manager. You guys even have the ability to create project managers on these as well. As you scroll down, here is those project start dates and end dates, and the description is right here. So again, you guys, if you need to fix anything, you can do that from these screens. There's also a lot of hyperlinks here. So if I linked this to a campaign, I'd be able to see it here. Or maybe this project was started from a project request form or an opportunity. These are all hyperlinks that go back to these areas that they started from. So again, kind of coming in here is a good idea to kind of poke around, get yourself familiar with it. The other thing that I think is important is your billing options. So for those of you who are in or full agencies and you're billing out of our system, always check your billing options. I see that quite often. They forget this part, and it was supposed to be a fixed fee project and it wind up being time and materials. So again, making sure that your billing methods are set up correctly on your project before you begin billing. Same thing with your, you know, if you guys have service rate sheets, making sure those are connected here as well. All right. And other than that, your custom fields, they are here. If you guys decide to set those up, you can, you'll be able to see them and access them from here as well. Okay. The other last thing I do want to mention, we talked about closing a project. So here's the official close box, and it gives you a little description of what's going to happen when you click that close box. So again, officially closing your projects is always a good idea. Okay, something we do recommend. All right. Let's go into our estimate next. So these are little check marks to kind of keep, you know, kind of show you where you left off at. So here I just go, they don't really go to anything other than they just show up and you can check mark them. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the estimate of my project, and you're going to notice that I already have an estimate in here. You guys do have the ability to add empty estimates to your templates so that they come over. So maybe that's one less thing that somebody has to click. They just have to fill it out. You do have that option here. We also have different types of template or types of estimates that you can create. This is what we call service only, which means that if I click into this total labor amount, it is giving me a list of all of the services. It's not looking at the tasks. It's only looking at the services in here. I can come in here and just put in all of my hours for the different services, and I can say, okay, that's one way. The way that we typically recommend, or the default of the system, is always by task and service. Okay, and you have the ability to change out the approver. You can put in a delivery date if you wanted to. And then you have other options for your estimate types. So we have task only, service only, task in person. I'll be honest with you, most people don't use task in person. It's most likely task and service, which is why it's the default. Okay. Now, since you guys, if for those of you who have taken the time to set up your templates, we have the ability to do what's called this auto poll. This is what's great about setting up your templates ahead of time. So I can come in here, I can say auto poll, I can save, and the system now pulled every single service into my estimate, and that's one less thing I have to do. Okay, I can see over here to the right hand side what's making up those 52 hours. I can see how many hours by service, And the last thing that I would need to do is go in and add my expenses. So coming in here, clicking that expense. So if you guys know those expenses ahead of time, go ahead and add them to your estimate here. And in this case, you know, maybe we have some stock photos, maybe don't know how to spell right now. And we have 2 that we're going to add. What I wanted you to notice too is I had the unit cost. So what I did is I added the cost to my item in my purchase items so that it automatically populate. So again, maybe people that are filling out the estimate don't know necessarily the cost, but if you fill it out ahead of time, then it's automatically coming in for you. And then down here we have our markup. So the markup is by percentage and not dollar amount. So I can say, well, we're going to mark this up by 15%. I'm going to click off, and now I have my one expense item for this project. So again, you can add as many as you want. Maybe there's going to be some shipping cost to this. I don't have to fill out numbers if I don't want to. I can just put in a complete amount. And of course, you can add as many as you want. So the last thing I wanted to show you is you have the ability to link certain vendors up. So let's say we were going to do a printing job and we were going to make you know, print 1,000 things, and we're going to have our unit cost as 125. And I know the vendor already. Well, you can link the vendor right here. You don't have, you can add as much information onto the line as you want. All right. So again, adding your expenses, we're done with this. I can come back out. On this screen, it actually auto saves for you, which is great. And then now when I come back, I have my total estimate for this particular project. We have different printing options that you guys can do. So underneath the more button, I can hit print. This one is just my summary, breaking things out. We have quite a few that are detailed view. So if you need, if your client needs a lot of detail, just go into the estimate settings, and then you're going to scroll down and we have these estimate templates. So maybe I just want a very detailed one, and I can come in here and I can print. And there it is. So you guys can, we do have the templates. I will show you at the end where those templates are, but you guys can create multiple templates if you want. You can even link them to the client record. That way you don't have to worry about picking a template every time you create an estimate for that client. Okay. And what's also great about here is you have an email here. So I could theoretically email this right to the client. I don't have to download it. I don't have to do anything because it's already in the system. So in this way, I could just email it directly to the client. If I wanted to wait for them, you know, to reply back. And at that point, I would go ahead and approve. Now, you definitely want to make sure you are approving your estimates, because if you don't approve them, you are not going to have the budgets. Okay, so in our system, an approved estimate means you will have a budget. All right, and it'll let you know when it's set up or like successfully approved. And you can see that over here to the left-hand side. Okay. So there may be times where you guys have, you know, say you're working a project and maybe you have an unexpected expense that happens. So at that point, we don't recommend you editing the original estimate. Again, you already have the one approved. So in this case, this is a change in scope. So here we have what's called a change order. So here I'm going to do a change order. I'm not going to auto poll because this is going to be in addition to. And you can also change the names of these if you want. Me, I like to, you know, see the words quickly. So again, totally up to you. Here's that approver again. Got to change it out. Pick from my list. And then I can go ahead and save. Once I save, it's going to give me a blank estimate. So here, maybe you have some additional expenses that you weren't, maybe some postage. And again, and let's do, oops. Okay. And so now I have my postage. All right. So again, you're going to want to make sure you approve them so that once you do approve them, they will become your budget. All right. And there's my total budget. All right. there looks like there's going to be, there's a couple more questions. So let me go ahead and see if I can answer those really quick. Reschedule the company. Oh, okay. So somebody's asking me, how do you schedule the company holidays? You're going to actually just go to your calendar. So go to the main menu, everyone calendar, and you just click the plus sign for a meeting. Okay, so very quick, very easy. There's a public calendar that you can add, and you can add your holidays to that. Let me just show you. Let me just do this really quick. So everyone, and then you have your calendar. So here, there's my old memorial, and over here to the right hand side, you have public calendars. So I have this one set up for company holidays. So when you click into that meeting, oops, box is in the way. You're going to make sure you select that calendar and you hit the box block out. If you do not hit the word block out, then it is not going to show up on our staff schedule, as well as on the project schedule. It's not going to skip it. Okay, so again, making sure you pick that public company calendar and then the block out button. All right, so hopefully that answered your question. Can you set up a default approver for estimates? Where can I set that? You should be able to set that up on the transaction preferences. So go to transaction preferences, go to estimates, and I believe you should be able to add a default approver there. If not, it's actually coming from the client record, or I mean, the account manager, sorry, on the project. All right. All right, so let's go back to our main menu. And let's see, it looks like there's a few more questions in here. Projects are able to connect with opportunities. Okay, so somebody's asking, can you connect these, or are these projects able to connect to opportunity? No, typically, well, yes, you can, your projects can be linked to your opportunity, but you have to start the opportunity first. You start out with the opportunity, you then convert the opportunity to the project, and then the two are linked. It's not in reverse. So the opportunity has to be first, then you create the project once it's been awarded. Okay. Do the plan start and plan complete dates account for weekends? Yes, the system is designed to skip weekends. Let's see, can you do a change order for labor as well by adding an estimate, or is it just for expenses? Nope, you can change it for labor as well. I have clients that actually will remove hours for a certain service, add another service, and add hours to it. So it's kind of like washing it out, but they're different services. So it does it both ways. You can add or remove depending on how you use it. And it works for labor as well. So hopefully that answered your question. Okay, now where we are, we got to go back to our project. And let's see, here we are. And I wanted to show you the budget tab. So once you guys have approved your estimates, all of that information is going to populate in the budget tab. There are going to be 4 different views, maybe. So here we have 4 different views. Again, it's preference. That's why we have 4 of them. So here you can look at your budget by item. Once this loads, maybe, oh, there we go. Whew. All right. So here it's by item. And what I want you to notice is you have your budgeted hours and you have all of your expenses. So everything that I had on that estimate is now showing up on my budget. As you guys start to work your projects, your actual hours are going to start to populate. You guys will be able to click into these. Anything that has a line underneath it means it's drillable. So you guys can go in there and see, well, you know, if all of a sudden I'm seeing 10 actual hours in here, well, I can click into that double circles right there, and it's going to give me the person, the date, and the time, and the service that they put the time to. So again, you will be able to see where your hours are against your budgets right from the screen. We have the different views here. You can look at it by type, you can look at it by task, and you can look at it by person. And you also have the ability to change what's located or what's showing up on your grid for your columns. Also, one neat feature about this, if you hover over each of these fields, it will tell you what's making up those columns. Okay, again, actual hours, a lot of people don't realize that these are here as well. And if you need to change your columns, you're going to go underneath the More button and System Settings. So again, if you don't see that System Settings option, that just means you don't have the rights to change anything. So over here to the right, you have different options to look at. You have it by item. What I wanted you to see was this labor settings. And if you scroll down, those are the expenses. So those are two, they're separated. So you'll have to go in each individual one and edit those there. And also, if you click into them, you can add or remove different options, as well as change the display order. So here, this is, you can move them into the order that you want to see them from left to right. All right. The other thing that I didn't mention that you can do here, let's say that you wanted different views, different columns to show up for different groups. You can actually override what's here. I can say, well, for my creatives, even though I might give them the budget tab, I'm going to say override, and maybe I'm just going to remove certain columns. Maybe they only need to see budgeted versus actual hours, and that's it. They don't need to see any numbers. Or maybe they just, change order hours against the actuals. So again, you guys can streamline this by security group if you wanted to. Okay, so those are here if you need to. That's pretty much it on the budget tab. Let's go into our team tab. So remember, I mentioned to you earlier that if you guys have a team already set up on your client record and it comes over, this will already be populated for you. So I already have 3 people showing up here. So if I need to add more, I'm just going to click that plus sign. I'm going to go into the double arrows. I'm going to pick my staff. And let's see, where's all my people? Oh, let's do. Okay, we want, let's pick a couple people here. And let's see. Well, we'll just pick this one. For those of you that actually give your clients the free login, you can also add them to the team of your project. So in this case, I can go to my client contacts, maybe. And you can add the client to the team. Okay, and those are for those schedules where you have that client approval. You can actually give them assign them to the task. They log into the client portal, and when they're done reviewing the estimate or the deliverable, they just mark the task done, and that actually updates the schedule. And then of course the next person on the next task can begin. Okay, so again, totally up to you how you guys want to use this. One thing I wanted you to see is each person that I've pulled in so far has a service underneath them. If you guys have people that let's say, for example, with Shan here, maybe she does senior graphic design work, 50 or 60% of the time. If you set up her default service on her employee record, all of this is going to populate for you. Again, being able to streamline the system so that you're doing less when you create these projects is going to make it a lot easier for you, right? And a lot less guesswork for people. So here I have all of my people. Over here to the right, these are the services that haven't been assigned to anybody yet. So right now I see Shan Terry here, and maybe I just want her to do some graphic design on this. And she's not going to do any, senior design. I can delete that. And you guys can literally go through and add different services to different people. Just click that plus sign. It's going to add that service. And maybe Naya's going to do some production artistry work. Once you've assigned all of the services, I then now can hit what's called auto assign. What this does is it's going to assign every person in my team and assign them to the schedule that's already set up based on the service that's linked to each one of my people. Now, again, you're going to only want to click the auto assign once. You do not want to do this if you guys have been working your project, because I will promise you it will run havoc with your schedule. You only do this in the very beginning when you're creating a new project. All right. So other than that, oh, one last thing. If you have, let's say you have two graphic designers that are set up on your project. what the system will do is it will divide the hours evenly between the two and add both of the designers to that tab. So let's say I had a task that had graphic design for 10 hours. The system would then divide the hours evenly, 5 and 5 for each one of those people, and add both of them to the task. Now, that doesn't mean it can't change after the fact, but you will be able to change it after, okay? So here, I'm gonna go ahead and push. Yes, I want to save. The system's going to let me know that it was successful. And we're going to go check the schedule in just a minute. The other thing that I wanted to show you while I was here is the subscription. Okay, a lot of people don't realize that this is here. This is another way that you guys can streamline your projects. Here I could say, well, maybe Shan needs to be part of every single conversation with this project. And, you know, maybe Yvette has to-dos, maybe every to-do in the system or in this project, she needs to be a part of. And maybe everybody needs to be notified when there's a file upload. And this here is for your deliverables. So maybe you have certain approvers for this project. And, you know, maybe we can say that, you know, we have Lucy Lou and Naya. These two are always going to be approvers for deliverables for just this project. Okay, so again, there's a subscription tab over here. A lot of people don't realize that. So once you've done those, you can go ahead and exit out. I can go into my schedule. And there we go. We have now assigned every single person to every single task. I can click into them. I can make adjustments. You know, again, you can, maybe you forgot that, you know, we needed a copywriter part of the kickoff meeting. You can go ahead and insert row and do it after the fact. Again, just type in those services and find those people. Maybe we're doing junior copywriting here, and I can pick from my list. And there we go. And just, of course, make sure you're saving. All right. Once you're done with that, then you're going to go ahead and put your project into production, meaning that it needs to be now, it's ready to be worked on. Okay. So here, that project is now going to show up on your projects listing screen. This screen here is looking at all of your active projects in the system. So now I will be able to have that project, and it's right here, down here on the bottom. Okay. And again, you guys can check mark these if you guys go along. I do want to talk about this dashboard. There are other features you guys can turn on here. A lot of people don't realize. For example, oh, here's that project description. You can now see that at the top. Here's the daily feed. This daily feed, I kind of call it my tattletale log. It literally logs everything that's taking place with this project. So if one day you come in here and you see a task missing, you can go into the daily feed. You can see the date and the time and the person who did it. Okay, so that's available. These are the different areas that you can use. All of your conversations can show up here. These are those custom fields that I filled out on the very first page. So those are here. You can also turn on your project snapshot. This is for those of you who have your billing out of the system. You can click in here. This is going to give you all of your invoices that were billed out of this project and any total advance bills and any unapplied amounts. You would be able to use this. I can click over to the hours. This is pulling those estimated hours. I don't have to go to my estimate to see the hours. I can see them right from here. Okay. Down below, we have the profitability. Again, any estimated information is going to show up here. Your actuals are going to start to populate here. Anything that's been written off, you'll be able to see that as well. And then further down, you have your team. I can click the caret, and there's the team. All right. There's that part. The last thing I do want to cover here is your client record. If you guys take the time to set up your client records, I will promise you it will make your life so much easier, and it'll go so much faster when you're creating your projects. So coming in here, going into the client record and scrolling down here to the bottom under client details. If you set up your billing options, come in here, click that pencil. Down here, what billing method do they use most of the time? Maybe they're time and materials, or maybe they're fixed fee. Okay, you have different options here that you can set up at the client level. Same thing with invoices. Maybe this client likes only one invoice, or maybe they want a separate invoice for every single project. We have different options here that you use. Also, for those of you who are using electronic billing worksheets, this here include retainers. Everything from this from one invoice per client And all the way down here, this is all for electronic billing worksheets, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. This is only for electronic billing worksheets. And then down here on the very bottom, you have your payment terms, okay? So again, setting up your system or your client records ahead of time, it's going to streamline the system more for you. Even your project defaults, if you click into that pencil, you know, maybe you have a service rate sheet, link it to the client record. That way the system is going to use that rate sheet every time you create a project. It's not to say that it can't be changed once you created the project, but if that you're using that rate sheet more than 50% of the time, set it up on the client record, okay? Again, you have other options that you can use here, but those two just, again, I think it's important to kind of look at all of that stuff. There are some more questions, so let me go back in. Okay, so you said you only want to click auto assign at the beginning, but wouldn't you want to click auto assign each time you create a change order so that the updated hours reflect as allocated on the schedule and the today created page? So what you would do is, no, you wouldn't want to click it every time. You only want to use it the one time. So typically what happens is if you're working in a schedule and something changes or you add people to the task, let's say you added a new graphic designer and you added another 5 hours, and then you went to another task and removed hours. Well, when you click the change order, the system is smart enough to know it looks at the approved estimate that's already there, and it notices the changes, and it actually pulls in all of the changes that you made in your schedule. So the system will do it all for you, whether it was a positive or a negative. And then of course, if you have any additional expenses, that of course wouldn't be pulling in from the schedule, but at that time you could add those expenses. Okay, so no, don't click that button. That's all I'm going to say is don't click it. Okay, let's go see what else. So if on the schedule page, we don't assign people to the service, does that mean it won't show up on the today creative page? Yeah, correct. So this design of the system is that you assign people to tasks so they know what they're working on. If you're not assigning people to your tasks, then it's not going to show up for them on their today page. Okay. Okay, so our customers often often request a new estimate for the entire project when they request changes. Do change order estimates, the original estimate, print together as one estimate? No, they do not. They're separate. So I guess if you wanted to do that, you could copy the original estimate and then make the additional changes to that one, and then all of it would be together. Like I said, you kind of want a history of your estimates so that you can see, you know, where you started and what you ended up with. So you can copy the estimate and then make the new changes to that one, and then all of it will print on one. Okay, let's see. Okay, it says, does the service selected allow it to link to timesheet so that they don't have to select their service code when entering timesheets? If you set up the services and allocated hours and they put time to their today page, it automatically populates all of that information. The project, the task, the service, the only thing they have to worry about is putting in the hours. And that's why we tell you to do it that way. It leaves the guesswork. They don't have to go searching for something or putting. The reason we say that is if you leave your tasks open-ended and people are going in there and putting time, a lot of the time people are in a rush. They're going to pick the wrong service, the wrong tasks, and sometimes even pick the wrong project. And to me, and what we've noticed is it winds up becoming a billing nightmare. Again, if you guys are streamlining the system, it leaves less chance of error if you're doing it for them. You know, the only thing they have to do is put in that 0.5 or 1.0 towards that time entry, and it's already added to their timesheet. Okay. All right, and I think that's it for those questions there. I wanted to show you the estimates. the templates. So here, going back to the main menu, admin manager, system setup, we're going to go into billing options, and down here we have estimate templates. So these are the defaulted templates in the system. These are very easy to use. You can just click into them. They're little boxes and drop down menus that you can use. You can copy these. You can create whole new ones if you want. And again, you can link those templates if you wanted to right to the client record, and then that client, this one particular template will be used all the time. Okay, we do have customized templates that are, I'll be straight out honest with you, they are not easy to use, but if you guys have some really picky clients, then of course we have these here. You guys can come in here, click into them. These are what we call like WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So again, I would copy these you know, before messing up the originals that are here. That way, at least the defaults you'll keep the integrity of the defaults. But literally, this is all customizable with your own logos and everything. That's in the help guide. It does show you that. So you can go into the help guide and look for those as well. It'll teach you how to use those. Other than that, let me see. It looks like there may be one more question. Okay, so I guess needed some clarification for Jessica. So, okay, you're suggesting to create a change order. You should do it on the schedule screen and then use the pull from schedule feature to create the change order. Yes, you can do that. And then it'll pull in all of that information for you, all of the changes that were made. Okay. Sorry, that wasn't clear. And let's see. Okay, looks like that's the same question. All right, so that's pretty much everything for today. I apologize that I was going so fast before. Hopefully it got better throughout the session. Give us a couple of days, go to, you know, to add the video, and then you can go into the support site, go to past webinars, and then that link will be there. So at least give us a couple of days. If you guys have any questions, you guys can always send your questions to support@workamajig.com, and your account managers will respond to that. But other than that, thank you guys for joining today, and have a great rest of your week. Bye.